In this recipe, we're making collard greens. First off, we're going to start with slicing our onions. And we're using purple onions for this particular recipe. And then after we slice our onions, we're going to use some fresh garlic and we're going to peel it. And then we're going to use our food processor to process and mince the garlic. Okay, so we're finishing up with peeling our garlic, and then we're going to take it over to our food processor and we are going to process it. You guys won't see that part, but that's what I did, and I just brought it right back over. Okay, so now we are going to open our smoky maple flavored bacon. We bought this bacon at H-E-B. It's like one of the best bacons. It has your house smelling so good like maple. So we're going to open this up, and then we're just going to cut the long slices in half, and then we're probably going to use about six to eight maybe little small pieces of bacon, because we're just using the bacon for flavor. Okay, so now we're putting the bacon in a little pan, the little pieces. So we just have the little halves, and then we're just going to put them in the pan, and then we're going to cook the bacon as normal. Okay, now we added a couple of pieces to our onion mixture. There's our onions going in, and then we're going to put the minced garlic that we minced in the food processor. We're going to put all that into the pan, and we're going to let that cook. And then I think later on we're going to move over those two pieces, and it's going to cook quicker with the other bacon. Okay, there are greens, they're collard greens, and we have them in a little bit of water, and we also poured a little bit of vinegar, and we let that soak for about maybe 20 minutes or so. You don't really need to let it soak that long. It's just that that's how I clean the leaves. So then I pick up each one of the leaves of collard greens, and then I tear the leaves off of the stems. And then once I tear those off, I also tear the leaves and I tear them in half, like make them smaller so that it stretches it throughout your recipe. And so I do that all the way through until it's done, until I'm done with that. Okay, here you can see I think I'm starting to rinse some of the leaves off. So the water's already pretty clean that I soaked it in because I washed them and then I soaked them. And so it's pretty clean anyway, but sometimes I wash the leaves off anyway. So that's what I'm doing right now. Okay, so I'm multitasking. I'm back over here towards the bacon and I'm um, turning the bacon over, scooting it around, making room for the other bacon. And then I'm checking on the onions and garlic. And there's one little slice of bacon there, and I'm going to end up moving that over to the other pan in just a little bit, just to let it, yeah, there it is, just to let it cook a little bit with the regular bacon. And then I'm just sauteing the onions and the garlic, and my house is smelling so good right now. Okay, now we are taking our leaves of collard greens and we're putting them in our pan. You see that the leaves are all the way to the top, and that's okay because they are going to cook way, way down. We are cooking two big bunches of collard greens. So there's more, and we're just going to push them all the way down. And then after that, we're going to add our seasoning. Okay, so now we're going to add our seasoning to that. We use our normal seasonings. We use the Tony Chachere's Creole seasoning. We're going to use some powdered garlic, and then we're going to use a little bit of cayenne pepper, and then a little bit of pepper. And then we're just going to mix all that up, and then we may add a little bit more nuts garlic. I think I didn't tell you that before or show you. And then we're going to add a little bit more after it cooks down a little bit. Okay, now we're going to take our bacon pieces that we cooked and we're going to just kind of shred them up a little bit and crunch them up. The bacon's crunchy, so we just crunch that on top and then put all of the bacon in there and mix it all together and then stir it all in. It's going to give it some extra flavor. And I don't think I mentioned it earlier, but I did use some of the bacon drippings and I put it at the bottom of the pan that I was sauteing the onions and the garlic in, and that gives it extra flavor as well. So of course, if you're a vegan, you're not and a vegetarian, you're not going to want to do that, but it does give a little bit of flavor if you're not like really big on, particular not eating pork or whatever. And I don't eat pork, but I will put sometimes when I'm making greens because it tastes so good. I'm going to use a little bit of drippings in there just for that. I won't, eat the pork or whatever. It's kind of weird, but there it is. last thing I'm going to do is add a cup of chicken broth to that and let it cook. You can use water if you don't have chicken broth, so that's okay. But I prefer using chicken broth, so I just had a little bit left over from another meal, and I poured that into the greens, and I just covered it back up and let it cook. And that's it. That's all you need to do. And your greens are going to be ready in probably about, just let that cook on medium to medium low for about 20, 30 minutes, something like that, just enough so they can get sauteed. And then they'll be ready and they'll be yummy. You can serve them with rice or with beans or just eat them by themselves, and they're really good. Thank you for watching. We appreciate you watching Moms on the Go. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe.